Welcome to PLUSone, the series where each month I look at the free games on PlayStation Plus and tell you if they're worth the download. After all, the games may be free, but your time is valuable. In today's episode, we're taking a look at Dead by Daylight, a 2016 asymmetric multiplayer horror game made by the prolific Behavior Interactive. You might not know these guys by name, but they've made some of your favorite hits, such as Fallout Shelter, Dante's Inferno but only the PSP port, Carmen Sandiego, The Secret of the Stolen Drums, that Westworld Fallout Shelter clone that Bethesda's suing them over because it's too much like the original Fallout Shelter, Wet, and Disney's Kim Possible 3, Team Possible. Like this list, Dead by Daylight aims to be scary, doing so in a unique way, pitting 4 survivors against one monstrous killer and bringing players into a horror movie scenario. Can you activate all 5 subscribe buttons and escape this video, or am I going to capture you and make you smash that like button? I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Is this game worth your time and 20 gigabytes on your hard drive? Let's find out. The absolute first thing I need to say is that Dead by Daylight is an online-only experience. You cannot play this game offline. There are no bots for you to play or practice with. You're going to be thrown to the wolves the moment you start up. Now, thankfully, the game has a few dozen pages of tutorial and basic information written out for you. Before you start up, trust me, just read through all of it. You can figure out most of it by yourself if you do play blind, but it's not going to be super fun if you do. So, how does the game play? Well, there's a multifaceted answer to that, because there are 2 distinct sides as I mentioned earlier. On one side, you'll play in a third-person perspective as one of up to 4 survivors. You'll need to band together to repair 5 generators spread across one of the game's several small maps. After that, one of you needs to activate the doors so that you can all attempt to escape. All the while, though, you've got to run and hide from the big hulking killer. Try as you may, you cannot fight this killer, and they're faster than you. So you need to take unexpected turns, break their line of sight, and vault over obstacles or throw said obstacles in the killer's way. If the killer hits you once, you'll be hurt, and your blood will be faintly noticeable as it drips on the ground. While you can heal, if you get hit again while hurt, you'll be knocked down entirely, left either to slowly bleed out or, far more likely, to be grabbed by the killer and carried over to these hooks to summon the entity. Your teammates can still save you, but your odds get worse and worse each time you're hooked up. I would make a joke about hooked up, but I think I overfilled my quota in the intro. The survivors can also hide in lockers and rummage through chests for items that may help, among other things. The killer, meanwhile, is played in a first-person perspective. Killers can see all of the generators highlighted in red at any given point, so they're very likely going to patrol between them trying to find their prey. While they can't sprint and they can only climb slowly over obstacles, they have a bonus power set to the L2 button, which can be something like a bear trap, a teleport, or a charged up lunge attack. Once the killer sets eyes on a survivor, a chase begins, and the longer the chase goes on without an escape or a successful attack, the faster the killer gets. That's just about the gist of the mechanics. There are multiple different types of killer and survivor alike, with each having slightly different perks and abilities. Later on, survivors can pass their abilities on to other survivors, which lets you customize your own personal loadout. Each map, as well as your skill trees for each character's progression, are procedurally generated. No 2 maps will be the same, with unique placements for hazards, generators, and survivor spawns. That's also true for your skills. Using the blood points you earn throughout each match, you can unlock different skills, obtain an item at the start of each match, and so on. Now, Dead by Daylight being online only means 2 major things. 1, you absolutely want to play this game with friends. If you don't have a handful of buddies to play it with, the experience is going to be significantly hampered. And 2, if you do play with strangers, expect some decent wait times between matches. In addition to these somewhat long loading screens, it can currently take a couple minutes to find enough players for a decent match. If you don't find 4 survivors before the match starts though, the amount of generators you need is skewed down to compensate. I found that playing as the killer made the wait time significantly better, so make sure you change it up if you're stuck for a while. With all this in mind, should you +1 Dead by Daylight to your collection? I think that's very dependent on what I just said. If you have the friends to play it with, then I would say yes, because you might just find your new group game. I can see bits of greatness shine through, but as somebody who played alone during my time with the game so far, those bits of greatness are pretty dulled. The movement and mechanics both feel very weak on console, with the game very clearly being designed for PC first. I mean, there's even a mouse cursor as your menu navigation instead of having the team take a bit more time to optimize the menus for controllers. This jankiness in-game affects the tension too. Running from the killer can be exhilarating, just as it is when you're watching a really good horror flick. But when you fail to trip the killer up with a pallet because the contextual button press didn't decide to work this time, it kind of takes you out of it. Either way, I think that it's a unique experience worth giving a shot, especially since asymmetric multiplayer has sort of died a bit lately. I just don't know how long you'd be hooked on this horror game before the game takes you out of the horror, and you realize that it's just a pretty average game. If you're a trophy hunter, by the way, don't even think about it. This game is entirely online. Are you insane? And if you're watching this after the game comes off of PS Plus, it goes for $30 both online and at retail. Whether it's worth the price depends on how many people you're going to be playing with and when you're buying it. If the servers are already kind of light now, I can't imagine it's going to be super active that much longer. Now, I will at least say the developers have continued to support the game with paid DLC, and with all of that paid DLC minus the horror movie tie-ins being obtainable in-game for free if you play enough. What do you think about Dead by Daylight? Let me know down in the comments below, and while you're down there, make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more, make sure you subscribe for more PlayStation Plus reviews, my main series of full game reviews, and much, much more.